Today we will finish up our study of love, a Buddhist perspective from SG 38.4. We'll look at friendly love, spiritual love, loving kindness, and so on. So when we talk of love, we have seen there's a wide range of emotions, from the most basic or physical, if you like, to some socially very interactive emotions, to some very personal kind of feelings. So today we look at the most important level of love, that is the spiritual aspects of it. Beginning with friendly love. Now we have heard the famous saying, spiritual friendship is the whole of the holy life. This is a very important statement. It shows that the whole of Buddhism is wholesome love. Spiritual friendship is friendly love. In the sense that you must have this very open, healthy feeling for others, for yourself, for others, in any kind of spiritual training or holy life. What does this mean? Why is it so important? Here we have to understand the aspect of thinking and feeling. The holy life or spiritual training, or the Buddhist life, if you like, it's not so much about thinking as it is about feeling. The world thinks, the world connects by thinking. And thinking, you need words, you need language, you need concepts, which are helpful on the basic level of communication. Even on a deep level of communication, for example, in terms of philosophy. But when it comes to the most important level of human communication, or even transhuman communication, we might say, you need to come to the level of feelings, or the dimension of feeling. So what's the difference between thinking and feeling in this connection? Thinking, as you say, involves language and concepts, words, right? In other words, there is a medium. We use these things, or this language and words, to communicate, to think. So it's not a real thing, in other words. The word is not a thing. In other words, if you really want to experience life or experience what is before you, you have to feel. You have to feel whatever is before you, to feel. You can only feel the present moment. You can't think about the present moment, because what you think is not real, it's not there. It's only in the mind, so to speak. So to feel means to let go of concepts, words, language, but to directly experience the reality before us. To be with someone, and to be fully with someone, is to try to feel the emotions of this person. And only in that way we can truly understand the mind and the heart of this person. So spiritual friendship then has to do with this idea of direct communication with the other party. So how does this apply to the three trainings? Three trainings, you have training in moral virtue, training in the mind, or concentration, samadhi, and training in wisdom. When we talk about moral trainings, sila sikha, we're talking about keeping the precepts, cultivating body and speech. Some thinking is involved, yes, but more importantly is, if we really want to cultivate our body, meaning to restrain our body from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, you need to have loving kindness, you need to have compassion, which are feelings, positive emotions. Without loving kindness, without compassion, it's impossible, even meaningless, to keep the first three precepts. And then there is the fourth precept, which is essentially deals with right speech. If we are to speak right speech, we have to have a sense of truthfulness and joy behind that speech, a sense of unconditional acceptance of the other person. Then our speech should be truly valuable. So in other words, even the five precepts, you find you need loving kindness to really practice them fully, effectively. So moral training, the first aspect of Buddhist training, the first part of the Eightfold Path, has feeling, has its basis. So to the second training, that is Samadhi Sikha, training in mental concentration. Why is that so? Because the very first step of meditation is to sit calmly, to walk mindfully. The idea is to let go of the body, not to be distracted by the physical senses. Once we are at peace with our body, then we go on to focus on the mind, to be at peace with the mind, to see directly with the mind. To see directly with the mind is to let go of all thoughts, to experience peace, focus of mind directly. So even there, we have to let go of thoughts. We can say we have to feel the meditation. We have to experience directly the breath, for example, loving kindness, the joy of loving kindness, the peace of loving kindness. And this knowledge that arises from such experiences, we call wisdom. Wisdom is a liberating kind of understanding. And this liberating kind of understanding is also a direct experience of true reality, seeing impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self in all the events and things around us. So again, there we have this direct experience of reality, feeling the world around us in that sense of the word. So we can see here the three trainings, spiritual, which together, as we can call by a single term, spiritual friendship, covers the whole of the body life, in that sense. On a simpler level, we have true friendship, or true-hearted friendship, as mentioned in the Sigalovada Sutta. Sada Suhada Mitra, or Mitra Suhada. So this idea of friendship is a very important concept in Buddhism. On a simple level, deeper level. So what's the difference between, let's say, good friendship, true-hearted friendship, and spiritual friendship? Spiritual friendship essentially centers around meditation. It's the relationship between a meditation teacher and a meditation student. Or when someone instructs another in meditation, and there is this kind of very positive bond between teacher and pupil. That is a good example, clear definition of spiritual friendship. Of course, on a broad basis, we can take spiritual friendship as a kind of a learning relationship, where some kind of wisdom is transferred from one person to another. In the case of true-hearted friendship, it's a kind of relationship, positive relationship between equals, if you like, helping one another, be kind to each other, as found in the teachings of the Sigalovada Sutta. But even on this level, we have some very important qualities to consider, especially what are called the four bases of conciliation, Sanghahavatu, mentioned in the Sanghavala Sutta, A 9.5. And the four qualities, which are called the four C's of friendship, they are generosity or dana, pleasant speech, Piya vacha, beneficent conduct, Attacharya. Impartiality or freedom from bias, Samanatata. Why do I call it the 4 C's? Because when you talk of generosity, in other words, it's charity, you start with a C. And to really have good friendship, second quality, you need pleasant speech. Communication, another C, another C word. And the third quality is beneficent conduct, behavior which benefits everyone. Here the key word is compassion, another C. And fourthly, the most spiritual of the qualities here, impartiality, freedom from bias. Here another word for it is unconditionality. Here the conditionality is the C. So these are the 4 C's to help us remember these 4 qualities. Charity or dana, sometimes the word chaga also used, is a sense of giving, mutual sharing, openness, and compassion. In other words, a readiness, open-heartedness to help, share, and to be kind to others. It's a kind of celebration of friendship. And there is this giving and reciprocating. So, and that is what we call the kampung spirit here. It makes having friends real fun, very positive. Then you have communication, right speech. Right speech allows good things to happen. Right speech is a kind of bridge over which we strengthen our friendship and connections and bonds. Here there's a very interesting story of the Lord Sakra and the 33 friends, where we see how this ability to communicate, to work together, bonded 33 young people led by Sakra, who decide to spend their life building public facilities, roads, plant trees, dig wells for the thirsty travelers and so on. And they did it together with the aspiration of going to heaven. This is a story of the past. So they were doing this, and then the headman came along. The village headmen are not kind of wondering why these young people are so hardworking and so civic conscious. In a sense, he became envious of them. He was telling them, I mean, you're young people, why don't you go and enjoy life rather than work so hard? But of course, they turned down the offer, and this village chief was not too happy, and he told some gossips and lies to the Raja that they were a band of thieves. So this kind of law is not very perfect, so they were rounded up and punished. They were made to lie down on the ground, and a wild elephant, a drunken elephant came along to kind of trample them. But what did Sakra say? He tells his friends, "Friends, we have no refuge but loving kindness. Therefore let your hearts be at peace. Show no anger towards anyone. Fill your hearts with loving kindness for the Raja, the chief, and the intoxicated elephant, all with the same heart, all with the same unconditionality." So the Raja thought maybe these elephants were a bit squeamish, trampling people, so he had them covered with a mat. But even then, this elephant still refused to trample on this very good group of young people. Then the Raja realized something was wrong, and he began further investigations and found out the truth. So the headman was punished, and this young man were freed, and they went on with their public works. And when they died, the story went that they became, well, the leader became Lord Sakra, king of the gods, and the 33 became the 33 friends became the 33 gods. So this is the story behind the heaven of the 33. This story is very meaningful, very important. It tells us that this story of the gods in early Buddhism is not about theogony, it's not about worshipping the gods. They are stories about, they're stories to be emulated, for us to follow in terms of being kind to the public, in terms of useful work, healthy community service, things like that. So they're not meant to be worshipped. They're meant to be examples for us to emulate as human beings, as members of a healthy society. In fact, Sakra is very famous for this quality of friendship and social goodness, if you like. There is another sutta called the Vatapada Sutta on the vows, the famous 7 vows of Sakra. It is said that another important reason why he was reborn as the king of the gods was because all his life he lived by these 7 aspirations or vows. As long as I live, may I support my parents. As long as I live, may I respect my family elders. As long as I live, may I speak gently. As long as I live, may I not speak divisively. As long as I live, may I dwell at home with a heart free from the stain of miserliness, devoted to charity, open-handed, delighting in giving, devoted to almsgiving, delighting in having a share in giving. As long as I live, may I speak the truth. As long as I live, may I be free from anger. And if anger should arise in me, may I dispel it quickly. These are 7 wonderful qualities of family life. So it's obvious this kind of teaching show a time when that family life was very important to people. And a good healthy family means this family is warm with friendship. Sometimes you may have a family, but people are not friendly to each other. People may be married, but they're not friendly to each other. So you need friendship in a family, friendship in married life. But here, these stories, these vows, covers a bigger area of human relationship or society itself. The idea here is that people in a healthy society should not relate to one another on a power mode. Definitely not in a Buddhist society. We should not relate to one another in a power mode, meaning we should not respect someone because the other person is powerful or of a high status or of great wealth. But rather, this closeness and warmth and mutual kindness is in the love mode, loving kindness mode, meaning wishing each other the best, accepting others as they are, so that they can grow to become better people. This is a very ideal kind of environment to change, to become better. And underlying such a relationship, of course, is work, mutual work, which makes friendship meaningful and dynamic and vibrant. And of course, on a more intense level, on a deeper level, we have right livelihood, where this kind of work becomes more systematic, more sustained, more committed. And of course, all this is done for the purpose of living the Buddhist life. We can see the Buddha himself. His whole life's work is love-centered. He gets up in the morning, he meditates with his great compassion, to see who in the world is ready to be helped. And he goes out, even alone, to dangerous places, to dangerous people, to help them, convert them. And he meets people every day of his life, trying to help them, change them for the better. And he talks to the monks every day. giving them counsel, giving them advice, meditation methods, so that they become awakened, become great saints themselves. And he made sure the teachings that he gave were recorded and transmitted and added down right to our own time, so that I can sit here and talk to you about the Buddha's teaching, although it was given to us 2,500 years ago. One of the most important ideas behind such notions of love and compassion is that we love others because they want to have the same positive emotion. This is the idea of the golden rule. Just as I love my life, so do others. So I should respect their life. That is a gesture of love too. Total acceptance. Compassion. Compassion, of course, is kindness to people even when they do not deserve it. They have done nothing to us, so to speak. And yet, it's right that we are kind to them. One very important reason is because maybe they have not heard the Buddha's word, they have not heard the Buddha's teaching, so they have not realized the potential for them to be truly happy through their own effort. Probably they've been hearing people telling them that they are bad people, they are sinners, and they can't help themselves. But here we have the Buddha telling them, look, you can help yourself, understand your mind, and so you'll be able to free yourself from suffering. So we show this compassion to them so that they realize, wow, I can help myself. And that's one of the greatest news that any religion can give to others. And another twin quality with compassion is gratitude. Gratitude is where we recall a kindness done to us and we repay that kindness. So it's a kind of a payback. We are obliged, so to speak, to return that goodness. Of course, comparing the two, you might say compassion is more noble in the sense that we're not obliged to give it, but we still want to give it. Gratitude is noble too in the sense that we do not forget people that have done good to us. And we rejoice in their goodness. The quality is called gladness. It's a bit more difficult. That is why it's number 3 of the 4 Brahmaviharas. You have loving kindness, gladness, loving kindness, compassion, and gladness. So this idea of loving people means that feeling is involved, and not everyone is happy all the time. In fact, most of the time you can easily meet people who are suffering or who are not happy. So if we are loving kind, if you are filled with loving kindness, we should be able to feel. We should try to feel how the other person feels, to understand the pain of this person. This is called empathy. Empathy, to empathize someone, to wear another person's shoes, so to speak. And this is done through careful listening. And this act of listening is a very important action in Buddhism. In fact, the word sāvaka comes from the root word srut, to hear. So sāvaka, usually translated as disciple, literally means listener or hearer, one who listens deeply to the Buddha's teaching. So if we want to be the Buddha's disciples, we have to learn to listen. Not only to the Buddha, but also to the people before us. What they're trying to say, to listen to their, not just the words, but also to listen to the silence in between words, to watch the body language and try to understand the body language. And that way we understand the whole person. We hear the person fully, in other words. Then there is sympathy. Sympathy, same feeling. If you translate the word literally, we try to respond as if we are that person. Sympathize means to kind of respond to someone's pains and sufferings, cries of need. But sympathy also has a positive quality. We can also sympathize with a person's good ideas. So you have someone who's suffering or someone who really has great ideas, you can support them, in other words. Share that ideas with them, rejoice in it. So this is another aspect of gladness or mudita. Here there's a very interesting observation in some of those nature movies where it's an account which can help us to understand how when we have these very positive emotions, we can even change ourselves to be kind to others. I'm reading a passage here from my essay on love in ST 38.4. It's the last paragraph of 6.1, or rather 6.1.3.3, 6.1.3.4, that's sympathy. The last paragraph that says, sympathy is like a penguin regurgitating her food to feed her chick. Male emperor penguins have a feature unique among penguins. If the chick hatches before the female returns with food, the male, despite his fasting, is able to produce a curd-like substance from his esophagus, from the food tract, to feed the chick, allowing for its survival and growth for up to 2 weeks. It is a nourishing mother-like response. However, unlike penguins, which only feed their own young, humans are capable of showing compassion to anyone or any being. So in other words, here you see even a male penguin is able to act like a mother. So this is a kind of what's called the mother meditation in the Metta Sutta. Just as a mother has her only child, so we should treat others in the same way. So here we have friendship, which is we look at two aspects of it from a simple level of true-hearted friendship and a deeper level of spiritual friendship. Now, in terms of karma, loving kindness is a very important quality, because loving kindness, if we practice it well, can limit the effects of karma. Or more simply, friendly love limits the effects of karma. There is a verse from the Araka Jataka, J169, which says, for a heart that is boundlessly friendly, cultivated to fulfillment, whatever limited karma that is done, nothing is left over here. J169, Volume 2, page 61. Here the meaning is that if we regularly practice karma, especially we bring it to some mental focus, then in moments of unmindfulness, we may commit some bad karma, even breaking the precept. Of course, we look back and reflect why we did it. We should not be doing it. We are contrite. Because it's loving kindness. It is so good. It makes us happy. And when you're happy, you don't feel like doing good. And once you have this kind of very positive mental attitude, you find it's not worth doing bad. So that way, you have this overwhelming feeling of goodness. So much so that this negative karmic energy is suppressed, very well suppressed. And on a higher level, you see this kind of friendship on a higher level, even more fine-tuned among the saints, who are very kind to each other. Especially mentioned in the Sanghabala Sutta again. There's a very beautiful passage in the Sanghabala Sutta where the same four qualities mentioned earlier are referred to: generosity, pleasant speech, beneficent conduct, impartiality. Generosity. Speaking of generosity, the sutta says, the foremost of gifts, bhikshus, is the gift of the Dharma. The highest, the best of gift is the gift of the Dharma. Because when you give the Dharma, you are giving everything, so to speak. You are helping the other person to help himself. Pleasant speech. The foremost pleasant speech bhikshus is the teaching of the Dharma again and again to those who are desirous of it and listening attentively. So teaching the Dharma, the action of teaching the Dharma is the most pleasant of speech. Here meaning we're talking about suttas, Dharma-based teachings. So we're not talking about public speaking here, we're not talking about teachings about management. We're talking about, this is Dharma-based teachings. Speaking from our own Dharma experiences, teaching with some stillness and joy of our meditation. In other words, moving people with the Dharma, not through worldly knowledge. Of course, we can use worldly knowledge insofar as this knowledge leads clearly to the Dharma. Beneficent conduct. The foremost beneficent conduct bhikshus is to rouse, instill, establish faith in the faithless. To rouse, instill, establish moral virtue in the immoral. To rouse, instill, establish charity in the miserly. To rouse, instill, establish wisdom in the foolish or ignorant. Faith, moral virtue, charity, wisdom. 4 wonderful blessings for beginners in Buddhism especially. And these are the best action we can do. Impartiality. The foremost impartiality, bhikshus, is a stream winner's impartiality towards a stream winner. How a stream winner relates to another stream winner. Mine is the same. One-returner's impartiality towards a one-returner. A non-returner's impartiality towards a non-returner. And arahat's impartiality towards an arahat. So here, the saints, the minds are similar in that sense. When we talk about like-minded, this is the like-mindedness. So, we have looked at love on a deeper spiritual level. We have come to the peak of love according to Buddhism. Unconditional love. Accepting yourself as you are. Accepting others as they are. Beginning there to help them cultivate themselves so that they can realize their most wonderful potential of self-awakening. This is called loving kindness, metta. We want to briefly look at loving kindness here because in the next series of lecture we're going to look in detail into loving kindness as part of the Brahma Viharas of the 4 divine emotions, the 4 positive qualities and so on, and many names like Brahma Vihara. So loving kindness is this idea of accepting others, all beings, in other words, not just human beings, but all beings. Because we all are living in a very interconnected world, conditioned world. So this respect for life is very important. So the idea here is a kind of a natural way of life, so to speak, at one with others and nature. Of course, the very first thing we should do, or we should practice in terms of unconditional love is to accept ourselves. A kind of self-love, if you like. Of course, self-love by itself may sound selfish or even is selfish, but we have to start there. Meaning, not hating ourselves. To accept ourselves just as we are, not to say, oh no, I'm not good enough, or even, or worse, not to say I'm bad. No, we don't say that. But we start where we are. Say, okay, I'm like this, I accept this, but I know I can be better. I accept myself completely just as I am. A sort of beginner's mind. So every day when we wake up, we say, okay, how am I today? And what should I do today? So we start from there. We look at ourselves in the present moment, not in the past. I was like this, I was like that, I did this, I did that. No, that's in the past. Or not the future. Right? I want to be this, I want to be that. Right now in the present, I'm going to see myself as I am, and I'm going to build myself up from there. And at the same time, or in between, we direct this positive, unconditional acceptance to others, people we meet. Meaning, we communicate with them. In other words, this person before me, you are the most important person right now to me, because I'm talking to you and I'm giving you all my attention. Something like that. So this loving kindness, in other words, should always be there. And there is a helpful analogy here, simile, an image, a figure of a beautiful white lotus in loving kindness meditation. We visualize a beautiful white lotus in the center of our hearts. The petals are opening when we start our meditation. It's very radiant and bright, and the loving kindness, the light of loving kindness is radiating, brightening up our bodies and our minds and shining on everyone around us. And this lotus is always there, even when we are not sitting in meditation. So even in our daily life, when we communicate with people, always remember there is this beautiful white lotus of loving kindness in our hearts. And we try to show it to others. We tend to be forgetful, so this loving kindness is a reminder to us that we can be happy, we can be kind to others at any time that we wish. So this understanding is vital in making friends. A lot of us have the wrong idea that friends are found. We go around, we go to a party and we find friends. Well, the good news is this: friends are not found, they are made. You make friends, you don't look for friends. In other words, you can make friends with almost anyone if you have a lot of loving kindness. You can win over people, at least for that moment when you're with them. Maybe you might never meet them again, but that moment when you're with them, you say something happy and good to them. Maybe you met someone in a plane and happen to be sitting beside you, some strange karma put you together there only for that moment of the flight. But then you mention something about the Dharma, and this person is so happy with that moment of being touched by the Dharma. That's your loving kindness. Then on a deeper level, you cultivate this loving kindness in a more sustained way. That is, loving kindness is a meditation. Love needs to be cultivated. Love doesn't just happen. Yeah, maybe on the lower levels, love may just happen in a sense people fall in love. But even then, you might say there's some karmic force working. But you can cultivate loving kindness in a positive way by regularly reminding yourself, may I be well and happy? May everyone around me be well and happy? May all beings be well and happy? Saying that all the time, especially before falling asleep, so that we naturally have loving kindness in us. We regularly have loving kindness. Our habitual karma is moved by loving kindness. And if we do this, then of course we'll be the happiest people in the world. We have happy memories. Even when bad things happen to us, somehow things are never that bad. We can always look at the bright side of things. Even if a loving kindness is the light of a firefly, when the darkest night comes to us, the little firefly light is still very clear. So we should treasure these happy moments in our lives, because those are centers of loving kindness. Throw away the revenge book, a book where we write all the unhappy things happen to us. Start a new happy book where we record our happy moments. The first time we climb up high on a tree and have this beautiful feeling of openness. The time we receive a prize, or when we gave birth to a beautiful child, or we went to some islands and saw this beautiful open valley, or we saw this beautiful clear night sky with millions of stars. Reflect, remember these wonderful events occasionally, and you can feel the joy coming back. And when this joy overwhelms you, just smile at the joy, experience the joy silently, letting go of all the other memories and thoughts. Sustain that joy, let it grow, smiling at it. Then you are living like a Brahma, like a high God. You don't have to go to heaven, because heaven is there, right? You have created a heaven around you. And yet, by this very practice, you can also liberate yourself. You can attain nirvana if you wish to. How is that? When you come out of your wonderful peace of mind, reflect on the impermanence of all of this. Regularly do this. You go on doing this, even this beautiful state is impermanent. And if you do this regularly, there are 10 suttas in chapter 25 of the Samyutta. It says, all the 10 suttas says that if you practice the perception of impermanence regularly, you will attain stream-winning in this life itself. If not, certainly at the moment of passing away. And this is truly good news. You can get awakened in this life. And that should be the purpose of every Buddhist in this life. If not attaining Arahathood itself. So that's the good news. Where love is concerned. So in other words, now, just to close, before we close, just a bit of summary. When we talk about love, it's not something we have. Because if something you have, you can't lose it. Love is something you cultivate, something that you are. You are that love. You and the love are not separate. And secondly, love is something you cannot keep. So love is only there when you give it away. So we should give what we cannot keep. When we give what we cannot keep, then we have all the more of it. That is love, loving kindness. And the more we give our loving kindness to others, the more we cannot lose it. So we are keeping what we cannot lose. As we give to others, so we are full of loving kindness. So on that note, I will end this, complete this talk on the Buddhist perspective of life. So you want more details, do read up SD 38.4, which is available in online, lamafera.org. So that's close to a short reflection here. Now we've completed our study of reflecting on the nature of love from the Buddhist perspective. Understanding love is very helpful to us as human beings, living as a family, a society, above all for spiritual development. Because love means accepting ourselves. And a more refined form of love is loving kindness, accepting everyone unconditionally. Reflecting in this way, we create good karma. With the power of such good karma, may we quickly focus our minds in our meditations. May we be filled with energy, wisdom, to practice the Dhamma even in this life itself. Above all, may we attain spiritual liberation, namely stream winning in this life itself. At this point, let us send out our loving kindness to all beings everywhere. that they may be well and happy and be touched by the Dharma. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu.